Hey everybody, I just got a question about what comments are for and like how do you use them to make your website a little bit easier to read. So I'm just going to do a quick tutorial for anybody who needs it on how to use comments. So here's my website that I made. You know, your website should definitely be a little bit better, but this is just for doing some examples on. So what a comment is, it's a part of your code that does not like do anything. And that might sound kind of dumb or kind of silly, but that's actually a really important thing to have in any kind of programming language. In every language, HTML and JavaScript and Python, Java, they all have comments. So what a comment does, before I get to what a comment does, here's how you make a comment. You start by typing out the less than sign, exclamation point, and 2 dashes. Those you can find right next to your equal sign. And then notice it turned like a light gray. After that, you type your comment here, and then to end your comment, you put 2 dashes and then a greater than sign. Now, if I don't end it like that, you notice that everything in my entire web page after I started it turns light gray. That's because I never ended my comment, so it's kind of saying all of this stuff here is a comment now. Okay. So let me close my comment, and now I'll start talking a little bit about what a comment is and why you might want to use it. So a comment is a thing inside of your code that does nothing. And the reason you'd ever want something like that is as your websites start to get bigger and bigger, and as you make big programs and stuff like that, you want to be able to have little notes to yourself or notes to somebody else who might come in and fix your code or work on your program with you, right? If you end up making websites or working as a software engineer or something in your job in the future, you're going to make programs and then send them to colleagues for them to check out. And having comments all over your code makes it easier for people to read and to understand what's going on. So here's the idea. This is what you might use a comment for. So here, instead of saying type your comment here, this lines 7 through 9 were my code for making my menu bar, right? So this or my navigation bar. So the comment I'm gonna write here is just gonna say navigation bar. And that lets anybody know who's looking at your website at the code that made your website, like, oh, this stuff over here after this comment, this is all the stuff that makes my navigation bar. And then maybe I'll make another comment over here that says exclamation point dash dash. Here is my header, and I gotta close out the comment, otherwise it all breaks. And maybe over here I'll say dash dash, this is my list. And it just like breaks up your code more and more and more, right? We have the indentation to make it easy to read. Really indentation is what makes it easy to read. But then now also we have these comments that when you're looking at your code, you're like, oh, okay, I really get exactly what's happening. Here's the part of my code where I make the navigation bar. Here's the part of my code where I make the header. And this is the part of my code where I make a list. So a comment, all it's for is just to create a little note for yourself or a note for a colleague or, maybe even a note for a teacher that's grading your work to see exactly what's going on. It keeps you organized. It keeps your program easier to read. And if you use comments as you go to stay organized and you make sure you're indenting well, you're going to make less errors and you'll have less to debug when you have to go back and fix things. One last thing that I'll mention, I'll go to my second page over here, is sometimes you might want to do a special multi-line comment. So I'll just give an example of that over here. So I'll make a comment, this is my image. Let's close it. And all right, here's my image, right? I'm saying that. If you want to make a multi-line comment, that is absolutely okay, right? So you can just hit enter, and anything between the start of your comment and the end of your comment is still a comment, right? So I can say, ooh, look, this is a multi-line comment. And you can even go further and say, wow, I can make it, even longer. Now it's a 3-line comment. This will be useful later on when we start talking about JavaScript multi-line comments, and commenting in JavaScript doesn't even look like this. But you just have this multi-line thing in case your description of what's going on in your code won't all fit in one line. You can just go ahead and put it onto a couple different lines, right? I hope that was helpful for the person that asked and for anybody else that might be a little confused about comments. And yeah, any other questions, feel free to email me. I might respond in an email, or I might make a little review video like I did over here, a little tutorial video. Cool. Hopefully that was helpful.